From Dated to I Do is a Christian woman's guide to praying, planning, and preparing for her future husband. If you're a single woman, this book will help you stop feeling stuck and start living a more fulfilling life today. You'll date with integrity and self-respect in today's anything goes society. You'll position yourself to meet Mr. Right without looking desperate or compromising who you are. If you're ready to live the life that God has for you, and if you're ready to prepare for the next season of life, which is marriage, then this book is exactly what you've been looking for. It is available right now at Amazon.com. From Dated to I Do is a Christian woman's guide to praying, planning, and preparing for her future husband. If you're a single woman, this book will help you stop feeling stuck and start living a more fulfilling life today. You'll date with integrity and self-respect in today's anything goes society. You'll position yourself to meet Mr. Right without looking desperate or compromising who you are. If you're ready to live the life that God has for you, and if you're ready to prepare for the next season of life, which is marriage, then this book is exactly what you've been looking for. It is available right now at Amazon.com.
Non-negotiables that you should not negotiate on, just like we talked about having that relationship with Christ. And of course I'm gonna choose number 3, but if it's as this person is late all the time, that may be, and I'm an on-time person, maybe I can't work with that. Is it something that could annoy me? Yes, but it is something I live with for the rest of my life, So I guess it just all depends on, again, your non-negotiables, your green flags, which is, you're okay with it. Then those yellow flags you may be annoyed with, but, it doesn't drive you away like those red flags.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Heart Talk with Coach Abby, the show where we talk about singleness, marriage, and everything in between. I am one of your hosts, Martinique Brown. I'm so excited that you guys have decided to tune in to the show. Today, I'm really excited about our topic that we're going to be talking about, which is how do you know when you are in love? That is the question for today. Make sure you go ahead and share this video now so that more people will know about Coach Abby, as well as the show, and as well as her services as well. So now, if this is your first time ever tuning into the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you give us a virtual shout out. Let us know that you are in the virtual world. The great thing about this show is it's actually interactive. So you can actually post your questions and your comments in the comment field. Now, if you're tuning in from any other page other than Worthy of Love, Counseling and Coaching, or Martinique Y. Brown, or Everything Authors, I need you to come on over to one of those 3 pages and you can actually post your questions. Another great thing about the show is you can actually call in your questions as well. So go right there to that description box and you can actually see the telephone number that you will need to dial in order to allow us to just hear your voice. That's what we like to do. We like to hear your voice of the questions. But make sure that you're patient with us because we will get to your question when you do give us a call. Now, another thing that we need you to do is go ahead and share this video now. So like I said, they can know more about Coach Abby and her services, and give us a virtual shout out. We will not bite you. Let us know that you are tuning into the show. And I forgot to tell everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
So now, Coach Abby, can you let the viewers know just a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Coach Abby and I'm a Christian dating coach, and I help high achieving Christian women learn how to date with a marriage mindset so they can attract the man that God has for them.
Excellent, excellent. So now we are sad to say, but this is actually our last show, and I definitely enjoyed hearing the Christian perspective that you have really just given us. I say us because I'm a single woman myself, but us as single people, and then also for our married couples that actually tune into the show. And I've really been thankful for our consistent viewers that's been tuning in and definitely engaging with us, and really just having a better understanding and getting to know you all as the viewers as well. But the great thing about this is this will not be the last that you see of Coach Abby. Coach Abby, can you just let our viewers know how much you appreciate them, as well as what is next and how they can stay in contact with you?
Yeah, so thank you all for allowing me to come on your Facebook screens and YouTube screens every other Monday just to interact and share, knowledge and wisdom from a Christian perspective on relationships. So this has definitely been a great journey, and I really enjoyed, working with you, Martinique, and answering questions, asking questions. So yeah, this has really been a great journey, I believe, for the both of us. Yeah, so you any single women that desire marriage and that wants to learn how to continue to position themselves for marriage, to prepare for marriage, please feel free to follow me and join my Facebook group, which is From Dating to I Do, and that's where I'll continue to go live and show up. Before you join the group, I do ask you to provide an email address so that way I'm still able to keep in contact with you, where I send out emails. And so that way you'll continue to, stay in touch with me and follow me there.
Now, one of the great things, one of the great services that you'll also be offering is group sessions as well, correct?
Yes, so I do plan on offering a group coaching program for women, again, that want to learn how to date with the marriage mindset, and learning how to prepare for marriage, how to, date that's ready for marriage, how to attract men that are ready for marriage. And so that is what my group culture program will be focusing on for those women that are interested in that accountability and that support to help them move them forward through the dating process.
Now, do you have a deadline right now of when people can sign up? Because I know the last show we was talking about that you were going to be starting around January.
So if you join my Facebook group and email list, I will keep in contact with you on the exact date that I will be opening the doors to that group culture program.
Okay. And you can also send us, myself or Coach Abby, a direct message of your email, and then I'll make sure that Coach Abby gets that as well. Shout out to Julia Brooks as well as Evelyn Whitney, who is tuning in to the show right now. They said hello. I see that we have some other people who just tuned in as well. Make sure you guys go ahead and give us a virtual shout out. Tell them, Coach Abby, we will not bite you. We are not trying to
We
bite
won't bite.
So again, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking about how do you know when you're in love. If you could just comment in the comment field if you've ever been in love before, because I cannot assume everybody has been in love before. But how did you know when you were in love? And are you currently with that individual? I always like to ask that. Like, are you, because when I be seeing these people sometimes, and I be hearing my friends and film, like they are so in love. And I'll be like, oh, that's good. That's good. And then a year later, they not together. And I'll be thinking, I thought y'all was so in love. Right. So I always like to know if you guys are still in love and still together. That's the question. But comment in the comment field for us. So, Coach Abby, why did you feel like it was important to even address this topic?
Yeah, for a lot of Christian women that are, out there dating and meeting great people and getting into relationships, I think it's important to, as you go through the relationship journey, as you go through, getting to know this man, this individually, it's important to understand if you are in love or not. If this is a relationship where you can see yourself falling in love with the person, being in love with the person, and if this relationship could possibly be the one that could lead into marriage.
That's good. That's good. So now Robin says hello, and she says she is still in love. Come on, Robin. Also, we have Bai, who is tuning in. She says hello, and Taekwon says hello. Hello, Taekwon. Evelyn says being in love looks different for people. Being in lust looks very similar, though. We're going to talk about that, Evelyn. Also, we have Regina tuning in. She says that's why I didn't post much relationship stuff to Facebook. Too many people in and out of relationships. Now, that's a good question right there, too, about when you are in a relationship, just about like letting social media know, because a lot of times we'll say it's not official until it's on Facebook or Instagram. But that's words of wisdom from Regina about not posting that much on Facebook. But Coach Abby, how would you define in love when it comes to new couples?
So how I define in love for new couples, it's really that commitment, and you don't really, let me back up here. So for love, it's not you're saying that I'm right in love with the person off the bat. I like that I heard a phrase that said you grow to love somebody, right? Because love is a commitment. Love takes work. Love takes time. It really takes time to grow, into you really decided if this is a person that you want to spend, the rest of your life with. I think a couple of shows back when I talked about, is there such thing as love at first sight? I came from 1 Corinthians 13 and I read how the Bible defines love. Love is kind, love is patient, love does not, hate, love is, selfless. So those are just some of the characteristics of, how someone anyone can say they're in love with somebody if they are not coming from a place of, selfishness, a place of pride, a place of unkind, anything that could harm or hurt the person.
And I'm really glad that you threw in the Bible, as specifically that scripture, because we have to have a higher standard of what love looks like, especially if we didn't particularly experience love growing up, because we would make that the standard of what love is. And some people think that when they're in an abusive relationship, then that can look like love to them, because maybe that's how their parents show love to each other as well. So I'm really thankful that you, of course, threw that scripture in there for us. But how does your book actually speak about this particular topic?
Yeah, so my book talks about knowing if you're in love. It's really understanding what love actually looks like. Again, coming from 1 Corinthians 13 and applying that as far as how you're getting to know somebody within that relationship. So kind of applying 1 Corinthians 13 versus how you're interacting with that person. Love, like I said, love, it takes time. It's not something you rush into, but these things should be shown, over time as you get to know the person.
So do you think that it is wise to only look at a person's action when you're just getting to know each other? Or would it be okay to talk about in the beginning what love is? Because if we're on two separate pages, then maybe we're doomed from the very beginning.
So when you say in the beginning, how soon are you talking about?
I'm talking about we are on date 3.
So in date 3, and you're asking if you should be talking about what does love look like? That's really I think to me that's rushing. You really want to focus on getting to know that person and developing a friendship. Because naturally a friendship should be able to develop where you should know, what that love, could look like and what that means. But, date 3, you're still trying to get to know who this person really is.
Yeah, that's good. So Maxine Jordan says, hello, Coach Abby. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, that's my mom. Hi, Mom.
She's so cute. I tell you, you just gotta love mamas. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Coach Abby's mama. Maxine, that's my mama's middle name. I'll tell you.
Oh,
Coach Abby, we got a connection, girl. So Coach Abby, what happens if the other person doesn't feel the same way about you? If you love somebody and they don't feel the same way about you?
Wow, that is that's tough. So you cannot make someone have that feeling of love. So I would definitely suggest that you don't try to prove why you should love me, why you should be with me. I definitely don't think you should come from that point of view. But I would definitely, take some time out to separate from that person, because you don't want any type of well, you should love me, or this is why you should love me, or I'm this great person, how come you don't love me? So you don't want to come from like a desperate place, but just I think that you should end that relationship and maybe discuss, depending on how long it's been, I guess it's okay to figure out why the feelings are not mutual, why your feelings, why you felt the way that you did. And I would say to go ahead and separate, because there's no need to continue to date or be in a relationship with someone where this person may not feel as strongly about you than what they do.
So now when you say that we should find out why the feelings are mutual, do you think that it's okay just to ask that person why?
Yeah, because I think you should ask. So, and I think that gives them an opportunity. Well, why do you feel this way about me?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe they don't
Oh, I
know,
see what you're saying.
why you,
Like
why
them.
you feel this way about me. So I think it's important, for you to tell them, why you feel this way. Then they say, well, why the feeling is mutual. I think it's good to have that open conversation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And can you just share with us, what do you feel is like the downside of trying to prove to somebody why they should love you?
Because then it becomes a toxic relationship, because now
Mm-hmm.
you're seeking love and approval from man, instead of, your self-worth should come from your relationship with Christ. It shouldn't come from a man. It shouldn't come from another human being.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand that ultimately we should know what Christ's love looked like, and how he died for us, and how that should relate to our relationships with other people. But trying to prove something to somebody, it just comes into, a toxic relationship. And it also maybe starts to form some sort of manipulation. You may not know how the other person may respond, where they're like, oh, well, maybe I can use her. Maybe I can get something from her if she loves me like that. So it could just really go into like a downward spiral where it starts to become toxic.
Yeah. And if you feel that you're having those type of conversations, with the person, because sometimes it might not even come out, well, you should love me because of X, Y, and Z, but you know, it could just come out as, well, I do this better than blank, meaning your ex person, the ex, that you was with. If you find yourself doing that though, what do you recommend that woman do?
To take a step back,
Mm-hmm.
and to end the relationship, and to really understand where is it that she's coming from, and why she wanted to seek approval from this man, to gain this love from this man so bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
Because
good.
it could be, loneliness. It could be a sense of validation. It could be a sense of her wanting to feel worthy. So there may be some things there where she's going through internally, where she feels like she has to, be accepted by this man, or have this man's love in order to feel validated.
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I do want to talk about is, with your book, how would your book talk about some of those foundational topics, so that we can have that self-esteem in loving ourselves because Christ loved us first, and what that love looks like?
Yeah, so in my book, I talk about knowing what your purpose is, how to find yourself in Christ. That's the first thing I talk about. I actually have my book right here. That's I think like the first couple of chapters I talk about, like defining your purpose, how to build your confidence, letting go of some of those distractions that I just talked about, in order to really be healed and whole, in order to be attracted to your husband. So I talk about the internal work first, before
Mm-hmm.
I even get into online dating, how to date, how to communicate with a man. It's important for you to work on those internal things first, before those external factors come into play.
That's good. That's good. And if you're interested in purchasing Coach Abby's book, make sure you go right there to that description box, and right there next to the $sign, you can actually click on that link and read the book summary, and purchase purchase that book. Now, I know that we are past Christmas, but you can still give the gift of love to somebody that you may know, that maybe you see some of their relationships and you be thinking, what in the world are you doing? Um, but you could definitely purchase that book for them or yourself as well. And then also, Coach Abby, what what if your friends and family disagree that you're in love?
I think it's important to hear them out, because sometimes when you're in it, you may not always see things. So it's important to really to get a trusted, not every family or friend, maybe, but a trusted support person, a trusted accountability partner, maybe just to point out some things, to understand if you're in love, or maybe there's some things they may see that questions if you are in love or not. So I think it's always good to take that person's opinion into consideration and kind of go from there based on what they say as far as how to move forward with the relationship.
And one of the questions that we had from the post was, what do you do if he doesn't look like what you want? And I thought that was an interesting question, because what do you do if you're just not attracted to the person?
So is this person still in love with this person even though they're not attracted to, or is this a whole nother conversation about attraction?
I don't know. They just said, what do you do if he doesn't look like what you want?
Yeah, that's tough, because if he doesn't look, I would have to know more about that. Is she trying to push herself through to date this person to make herself feel attracted to this person? Is she just on one date and find herself not attracted to this person? That's a lot of layers to that question. I would have to know more as far as why she asks about it, and what does it have to do with being in love?
And Regina said that her husband told her that he loved her early, but they had to talk because he wasn't the only option at the time. I know that we talked about, what if the person that you're with, doesn't love you the way that you love them. But how do you think that you should have that conversation for somebody that does tell you that they love you early on, and maybe you just don't feel like that? How do you have a conversation with someone like that, you think?
Yeah, I think that you should be honest with the person and let them know where you're at with how you're feeling. Maybe it could just be a time thing. Maybe you do really like the person.
Yeah.
But it could just be a time where if they're saying it earlier and you maybe could be feeling it, but really you're not there yet. It could be just, well, I do really like you and I appreciate you, being open with me, but right now I'm not, there yet. I just need, a little bit more time just to see, exactly, how I feel and where I see us, going.
And I feel like that gives the other individual a little bit more hope in the relationship, as opposed to saying, nah, I don't think I'm ever gonna be in love with you. But I feel like if you tell the person a little bit too early, it could scare them off.
Right. And I also think too, it depends on if you're really feeling this person, right? So you still have to have some type of likeness there. Yeah. To say that you just need a little bit of time. Now, if you're not really feeling this person, really don't like the person, hopefully you shouldn't be really dating them. That relationship shouldn't even be going, anyways. But let's say you are 4 to 5 months in, 6 months in, you all have been really connecting, and you're still needing that time, but the person may say, I love you, this is, why. It could still just be you just need some time, even though, you all have been dating for a while. It could still just be you need some time.
But that brings up a good point, Coach Abby. If I'm with a guy and, let's act like it has been 6 months and I told him that I love him, and let's say that I told him that exactly at 6 months, it hasn't been any earlier or anything like that. And I thought the feelings were mutual, but he's still talking about, well, let's just give this some time. How much time realistically do you think I should give somebody, with maybe this whole saying this love thing, because I don't want this person to just be leading me on. What do you think?
Yeah, I really believe that when it comes to dating, from dating to marriage, that the time frame should be about a year or two. It shouldn't really take that long for someone, to say that they love someone and they're already making plans for marriage. I don't believe in extended dating or dating for a long period of time. So even if he needs an additional 6 months, I think a year is suffice, because that's a whole year with somebody. That's 12 months.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me, viewers, what do y'all think about that? Do you think that, if somebody hasn't said they love that other individual a year or maybe 6 months to a year, should that individual that has expressed that they love that person, should they think about moving on, with the relationship? Tell me in the comment field. So, Coach Abby, what do you feel is the difference between being in love and simply loving someone?
Well, being in love means that you see, that I always hear that term. I'm in love with somebody, but I love somebody, but I'm not in
In
love.
love. Uh-huh.
I really never understood what that term means, and maybe our audience can school me when it comes to that. So I would like to hear their opinions about what does it mean to love somebody versus being in love with someone. Because when I think of love, I think of a selfless act, right? So God's love for us was selfless when he died on the cross. So I'm not sure what that means when you're in love, you love someone, but you're not in love with someone. Because even me being married, I love Daryl and I'm also in love with him. So I'm not yeah. So what do you think, Martine? Do you
See, now what I look at it as is, okay, so you know how as Christians we're supposed to love everyone. And we can generalize it and say, yes, we do love everyone. But am I willing to die for that person? Because I know that that's been a scale sometimes. I know that was a scale that, like, my collegiate minister would ask. He would say, if we came to him and say, well, okay, this is somebody we're interested in getting married to. And he would say, like, would you die for that person? And that took it to like a whole different level, with that question. So yes, I do love a stranger, because I'm a Christian, and I had to be very thoughtful to them being a human, but I wouldn't be willing to die for that stranger. I'm not going to run in front of a bullet, for that individual, because I still love them, but I'm not in love with them. So that's kind of how I look at the difference.
Okay. So when you were just speaking, I'm thinking of two, which was a really great point, that you can love someone, but when you're saying you're in love, that means that you're willing to stay committed to this person.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking about. I'm willing to go the extra mile
I'm willing to fight. Yeah,
and at least display what 1 Corinthians 13 talks about.
Right. So I'm willing to grow in love. I'm willing to stay committed. I'm willing to fight through this. This shows that I'm in love with someone versus, like you said, the generalized agape love. So agape love is, being selfless, showing kindness, showing the fruits of the spirit. That's how you will define that general agape love to people. So I guess that answers the questions as far as what that main difference actually looks like.
Yeah. And we have a couple of viewers that commented also when you were saying, asking for their thoughts on it. So Daryl said it means you love the person in a non-romantic way. And then Regina says you can love your parents, but not be in love with them. She said that's an example. And then Evelyn says, in love means I don't want to wake up without you in
Mhm.
every one of my tomorrow. Evelyn, girl, you so deep. So you don't want to wake up without that person. And
Yeah.
then just to love that person means to I don't want you to be hit by a bus, but you can live over there, but you can live. I'm guessing like if that person does get hit by a bus, then you can live with it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, because I'm thinking about like when we hear about, you know, how we hear about news reports and we hear about a young child that dies or something like that or gets shot, and we don't know that person, but we feel sad that that happened to somebody, but we can still live our life, you know.
Yeah, you're sympathetic to the situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then also too is unconditional love.
Right,
You know,
right.
so marriage is really supposed to be based on that unconditional, love, that selfless love versus most love can be conditional, right? You do for me what I do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I think that unconditional part is so difficult, um, because people change. Was that ever a fear that you had though? You know, when it came to marriage, that just with everyday life, you know, as we get older, our interests change, our attitudes change about different things. Did you ever think about, you know, marrying somebody and then them completely changing as you guys get older together?
Mm, no, that fear never really crossed my mind. I knew that we would go into different transitions in our lives. Being parents is definitely a huge transition. So I look at it, me getting to know Daryl in a different way versus being a husband. Now he's a father. So that's now a new role that he has to learn. And how does that, intertwine, in our marriage? But as far as the fear of him being this completely different person that lose interest in our commitment towards each other for what we had in the beginning, I didn't have that
Mm-hmm.
fear.
Mm-hmm. And I want to ask, how do you think that a person can, or a relationship or a couple can test out that commitment? Because you know we're talking about love, and every day is not going to be rosy, but it's all about that commitment that you have for each other. Is there a way that you can find out how committed someone is to you without being married to them or engaged, but just being in a relationship with them? What you think?
Yeah, just being in a relationship, living everyday life. Yeah, and communicating.
Mm-hmm. So you feel
Communicating.
that like when you are when you are given an obstacle in the relationship, how the both of you overcome that hurdle in the relationship. Do you
Yep,
feel
how
like
you overcome,
that's
how
how
you
you test out the
respond.
commitment?
Yeah, life happens. Everyday life happens.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And talk to us about how we should not turn a blind eye to how they respond when we are in this dating relationship, because I sometimes think that people think that once a couple gets this marriage certificate, then they're going to change the way that they acted in the dating relationship.
Um, so it's important to learn how to communicate and to understand what those signs of toxic looks like, and not to take for granted that it's going to change, um, or you're going to make this person change, or the marriage certificate is going to change. So it's important to really understand those red flags that I know I've talked about many a times, what those red flags, looks like, how that communication, what that communication style looks like, knowing what those yellow flags are too, and really take those things seriously and into account when you are dating.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Regina is actually recently married, and she said we both changed since we've been married. Really, we learned more about what we didn't see when we were dating. Was that also true for you and Daryl, you think?
Oh yeah, because we didn't live together. So now when
Right.
you're living together, it brings on, like Regina said, different habits, different maybe personality that you might not have, known about, or so yeah, you are, learning that person, for the first time. And not for the first time, but in a different manner. So now you're actually living together. You have to create this routine. Your finances are combined. So now there's a whole new level that you're learning this person on.
Do you think that you can convince a person that they don't have to live with somebody in order to know for sure if this is the person for them?
I believe I can. And the reason is people, I mean, people are going to change no matter what. So you could say, oh, we lived together before marriage and now I know him. But then you get married and you still don't know him. So every day is a learning experience. I remember when my mom, before my dad, passed away, and they, oh shoot, Ma, you should put in the comment section how many years you and dad would have been married. I know would have been like 40 some
Oh,
plus
wow.
years, but she was saying that there were still things. Every day it's a learning experience because things happen, life happens. There's so many transitions from babies to adult children to my father being sick. My mom had to care for him. So every day there's things that changes, when it comes to life. But it's that commitment, your love for that person, and your vows, your love for Christ is what keeps you going.
I think that was such a good example, though, because just as somebody that has never lived with a guy, so many times it seems like you find out all the major big things when you live with the person that's going to either be your non-negotiables. But once you live with the person, then you'll find out everything about them. So that's really good that you put that out there as an example, that you're constantly learning about that individual. But that also goes back to the word commitment. Regardless of anything that you find out about this individual, once you start living with them, are you two committed
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
each other?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that conversation looks like, though, when you do find out something major about the individual from just living with them?
So major like what?
I don't know, Coach Abby. I had never lived with a guy. Viewers, if y'all have something major that you have found out about living with somebody, that maybe would have really just turned you off from that person had you known that they did it before you start living with them. That would be so interesting to find out. But I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, major could be he don't fold his clothes up right, or he don't make the bed. You know what I'm saying? Or you talk about those little daily household, things, or he may not cook like you thought he could. So what would be those major things? Or you mean like finances, um, how he spends his time?
Maybe let's say how he spends his time. If you didn't know that he really spent 7 hours, let's say something realistic, like maybe 5 hours a day on video games, and he just lets the dishes pile up. Like maybe that really just irks you. What how do you have those conversations? And this is just an
Mm-hmm.
example.
Yeah, it's you need to communicate those things in a non-confrontational way. I know when we first got married, that was one of the things Daryl and I had to talk about. Is my love language is quality time, and so for me, I needed to have that quality time where Daryl is more, of an introvert, so he can play his video games all day and it doesn't bother him, and he comes up later, but that wasn't that's not what I needed. So we had to come up with a plan or more of a structure in our day, as far as not controlling him to say, okay, you plan a game from this day to that day, but just really making sure I communicate to him how I would want that quality time, for us to, spend together, how I want that to actually, look.
Yeah. And one of the things that I look at, with that is Daryl had two choices. He could either respect what you're saying and then try to change, because he is in love with you. It's about that commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could just be like, I don't care, Coach Abby. I know he'll call you Coach Abby, but I don't care, what you say. And then I look at that as, do you really love me? I've expressed to you something that I think is important, and that individual has a choice to make, in that. And I think that that is something that we can really experience when we're in our dating relationships. How does that person respond to things that you bring up that concerns you, or that you feel is important?
Yeah, and it's really about compromise. Yeah, it's really about learning to compromise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good word right there. Compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we're talking about like maybe how the person lives and things like that. Do you think it's important? Do you think that it's important to visit where that person lives, just to
You
see,
coming
like,
off of Married at First Sight, that's what they be doing. You watch
oh
that show?
gosh, I stopped watching that show because I was just like, you know what, guys, it's just, I honestly, Coach Abby, it's a good show, but I hate when shows feel like they need to give me it's an hour show, but they feel
Mm-hmm.
like they need to give me 20 minutes of recap. If I need a recap, I'll watch the previous show. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, I can't do it with y'all no more. But what do you think about that, Coach Abby? Because I want to see how this person lives, and I feel like I need to just pop up, because they can, when they know that I'm coming, then they could just clean up. But I want to see. I feel like I should pop up. What do you think about that?
If you pop up, and that could be, they could not be, they could just be having like a really chill day and not feel like cleaning or have their PJs on all day. I don't think that would change anything, if that's what you're asking.
Coach Robin said, would you like him to pop up on you? He can pop up. He better be okay with what he sees.
Don't make it more complicated, Martinique, than what it
I'm
is.
just saying, like, I think I just want to see the real him. If I'm choosing not to live with him, then I want to see how he lives on a daily basis.
Like I said, things could you still not going to know the full him.
Well, I'm gonna know a little bit if he clean or not. I'm gonna know a little something more than I do the day before.
But you should be able to see that from the way he dressed, his appearance. You should be able to see that.
Nah, I'm popping up.
Don't start being crazy as stalking.
No, I'm not saying like that. I might even bring him something to eat, but it's gonna be a pop-up. If I know that you home. I just want to see what it looked like. I'm not saying that, I'm not gonna like you anymore, but it's just gonna let me know a little bit more about him.
It could be an off day. You may pop up on me and I got still in my PJs at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That part. I don't care about that. Because honestly, like you pop up on a clean person's house, it's pretty clean. And they're the ones that be like, oh, excuse the mess. Like that place is clean. You know what I'm saying? So you can tell when somebody's just dirty. You really can. I
You
know y'all.
can by their appearance, by the way they dress,
Mm-mm,
they
I ain't going
hair,
based off that.
just the physical. To me, you can by just their physical appearance.
Coach Abby, these people be fronting. I'm gonna need you to pop up on some of your clients, your prospective boyfriends, and you let them know. But we have a question um, on the floor. So Coach Robert said, is he gonna be in charge of cleaning when you get married? We both gonna share those duties. We're gonna. I don't mind having a chart of who does what.
A chart.
Well, I mean, it could be a mental chart, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I think it eliminates a lot of conversation of who does what. What do y'all have at your house, Coach Abby?
What the chart? There's a lot of shared responsibilities.
See, that's what we gonna do, Coach Robin. We're gonna
There's a
share
lot of shared
responsibility.
responsibilities. But I mean, the woman is, the Bible says the woman is the keeper of her home.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
keep it.
we go, yeah, the woman's a keeper of her home, and the man, God created him to work outside of the home. So I mean, there are shared responsibilities, but when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to, you know, keeping and cleaning and just making sure things are where they're supposed to be, I expect for that to, to fall on me versus if he's, out there, providing.
Oh, you okay? You a good one, Coach Abby, because we sharing all of it when
No,
it
that's
comes
not
to that cleaning.
realistic. That's
Oh, yes,
not
it is.
when you have children, it's not realistic. You have to pick up where things, if he's coming home from work having a bad day, if you
Yeah.
just have to know how to, you don't want to just focus on those minor things where you say you're going to do, you have to pick up where your husband may not be feeling. If he's providing, if he's a protector of your home, that you're supposed to make sure that he feels like the man, he feels, where he's coming home to this peaceful, home. It's not going to always be those shared duties.
Okay.
It's not. So
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be so legalistic where, I'm
mm-hmm,
like, well, you do this. But as two adults, we do know what we're supposed to be doing. And it's nothing like,
mm-hmm.
you helping, but I mean, we know what we're supposed to be doing. But, enough about cleaning and stuff. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But what are some of the signs that it is love and not lust? What do you think, Coach Abby?
So lusting is more about what benefits you. So and love is more about what benefits, the other person, like we talked about, that compromise, that unconditional love. Versus lust is all about what you can do for me, how you can please me, you do for me and I do for you, type of situation. So that's the major difference between love and lust.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good question.
Yeah.
That came from our post, because I know so many times, and you just are attracted to that individual and you just feel like they could do no wrong. But boy, I'm telling you, when you get to know that person, it's a totally, you be looking like you are not even cute anymore. It's crazy. It's crazy how quickly it can turn off. But one of the posts said, I have felt this way before. How do I know this is different from the love that I thought I was feeling before? That was a good one.
Yeah, so love is just not a feeling, it's about action. So that's something else we need to take into consideration. I know people base love off of, oh, these are butterflies I'm in love. I feel so good. He makes me feel so happy. But when you don't have those butterflies and roses, when those days where you're not, happy, that will show you what love actually really looks like. Are you going to be committed to continue this relationship? How does he treat you? What is his actions or your actions saying about this person when you're having those rainy days, when you don't feel like being, bothered, when you're just having a rough day, when life just hits you real hard? Are you still loving and committed that person, or are you going because you lost that feeling where you're not happy and don't have those butterflies?
Yeah, yeah. And do you think that as women, we are easily we easily fall in love, or do you think that if a woman has um been hurt so many times that even when it is love for somebody, then we tell ourselves, nope, this is not love. Nope, you are not in love with this person. What do you think?
Hmm. So I think that we're more emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we tend to say we're in love because we're based on these feelings, and because it's easier for us to get emotionally attached. We're very God has created us to be nurturers, so it's easy for us to come on over here. Let me, help you. Let me, teach you. And so when you have that nurturing and that emotions tied behind it, then it is easier for women to say they are in love with this person. Um, and there's a lot of there can be times where you self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
Answering your latter question, that means that you're broken. You're broken and you're coming from a place of hurt to self-sabotage and say, oh, well, you keep comparing the past to what is happening now, if I'm understanding that second question right.
Did you ever find yourself doing that? Because I know that Daryl was a lot different from your previous relationship that you was in. Were you, did you find yourself doing that at all because Daryl was different?
Yeah, because I felt like I wasn't worthy of dating someone that was saving themselves, and I didn't. So in that way, there was self-sabotaging going on in my
Mhm.
mind.
And how did you deal with that without ruining the relationship altogether?
Being open with him, talking about it, and he was reassuring me um, not to feel that way. What he was, looking for, when it came to a wife, and just that reassurance that he gave me. So just being open with him and communicating with him.
That's really good. And it's I don't I know that we talk about commitment and a lot of times we associate it with marriage, but it has to also have be some type of commitment to the relationship, meaning when you guys are dating. Did you find
Hmm.
that that was important and you were able to see those qualities in Daryl when, you guys were thinking about getting serious?
Yeah, definitely. Just like, I mentioned that, within the year, you should know if you love somebody. That's showing that commitment is there. And like I said, I don't believe in extended dating. So that also shows that commitment of you being committed to this person and wanted to, be married to death. So yeah, commitment is definitely important even in the dating phase.
And do you think that if you are a woman and you are not in love with this person, and let's say that you guys been dating for a year, not to say that this guy has brought it up, meaning questioning why haven't you told me you love me yet or anything like that, but just internally you see that you are not, you really just, you've given it a try. I've tried to, really get to know his personality, everything, but I'm just not in love with him like that. What would you say that we need to do in that situation?
So how long is this person in this relationship? Because I don't
We've been
believe
with
in
them for
leading
a
people.
year.
So they didn't know before a year. I just don't like people leading people on and playing games. I don't. You should know way. It shouldn't take you a year
Yeah.
to know that. It should take you a lot less to know if this is really somebody that you could, see yourself with, that you can, say, oh, okay, this is not someone I believe I can be with. But to waste that person's time for a whole year,
Yeah.
what were you doing?
Yeah. And I know with me, the reason why I did that to guys, really just lead them on, because I was just waiting for a better thing to come along before I broke up with them. And so I was just really convicted. I was like, man, Martinique, how you gonna do this? These guys. So that's truly what it was, because I was being fed that companionship, which I was seeking, but I knew that I didn't want to be with that person long term. And so that's why I did it. Yeah. But when you do think that you're in love, and this is, you both of you guys, well, I don't even want to say both of you guys, but you really are in love with this person. What do you think is the next thing you should do?
Continue hopefully by that time too, that you've already have, start talking about your future together, what the engagement process will look like, what marriage is going to look like, and start working towards that goal, of starting you all, lives together, preparing for that, getting premarital counselor and getting, mentorship, really, going towards that path of marriage.
And I don't want to sound all like googly with love, but I feel like that's the fun part. Like when y'all both now on the same, like, oh my gosh, you love me, we on the same page. And the fun starts. But do you think that a person can fall out of love?
Yeah, I've heard that term too. Were you in love with the person? I mean, what does that look like, falling out? So you saying that now you stop showing commitment, that you're no longer, want to show. I know this happens a lot in our society, where people, just, things don't work out, or they stop compromising. The selfishness, might have always been there, and they tried to cover it. And it's really saying that I quit. I don't believe it's falling out of love, but I look at it as just, I quit.
Yeah.
I quit.
That's true. That's true. And then I think that goes back to you telling us in the beginning, don't try to get, like, convince a person to love you. But sometimes people like that whole fighting for my love type of thing. Like they want, I don't know, I just can't beg for it like that. I told you I liked you, and we're trying to get the love, but I'm not doing all that extra. But what do you think that a couple should do, a married couple, and give us an example of a dating couple? What should those two different types of couples do when they do fall out of love with each other?
Oh, married couple definitely go to counseling. Yeah, married, because you made a commitment, you vowed before God, before family and friends, that you were going to stay together to death do you part. So if you find yourself saying that I quit, you're on the brink, because I don't look at it as falling out of love. I'm looking at it as that you're on the brink of saying I quit. I quit this marriage. I quit, this commitment. I quit. If you're on that brink, then I definitely encourage you to get premarital counseling. Dating, you're not married yet. So if you're engaged, I would say, because you're closer to that path of marriage, I would say, then I would encourage you to get counseling. But if you're dating, there hasn't been no ring, and you're not even close to the engagement, you're not close to, getting getting married. It's important to talk about it, but I wouldn't try to make something work that's not supposed to work, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So now Regina brought up a good point. She said that the conversation is so focused on getting to marriage, but we have to set the foundations for reducing divorce rates while we're dating. Is that possible though, Coach Abby, to help decrease that divorce rate while we're dating still? Before we even get to
You
that
can
point.
help. Yeah, but because in my program, I teach women what to look for when it comes to a man, how to, prepare, for marriage. But it doesn't stop. You still have to divorce proof when you get married. You have to divorce proof when you're engaged. And like I said, with dating, there are certain things that you do need to look for, those foundational pieces that you do need to have, in place, to help you, not to go into marriage, thinking you could change a person. So those things it's important to talk about when you're dating. But again, it doesn't quit there. You have to keep it going. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many married couples, people that's been married for over 20 some years and say that they quit for
Yeah.
various, different reasons. So I think that it continues.
Yeah. And when I hear about those couples that has been married for 20 something years and they get a divorce, I truly wonder, were they already did they already like um zone out of this marriage maybe even after 5 years? Because you'll hear that couples will stay married just for the sake of the kids, but once those kids are out the house,
Mm,
then they get that divorce. And so that's
yeah,
what I be thinking about, those long-term marriages that we
yeah.
hear about,
Hmm.
um, as well.
I agree.
But what do you think that people mean when they say it takes more than love to make a relationship work?
Because like I said, love is it's more than a feeling. So
Mhm.
that's why I think when people say it takes more than love, because it requires some sort of action, it requires some sort of discipline, it requires it requires action, it requires commitment, it requires that unconditional love that's really not talked about, and what that really looks like in me. So that's when I think of it takes more than love, that's what I think about. It takes
Mhm.
more than a feeling.
Yeah, yeah, and talking about this feeling, this lovey-dovey feeling that we have towards the opposite sex. Do you think that you need to be in love to get married?
um I think that you need to have some sort of commitment there. But you grow into loving that person every day. Like I said, because that feeling, you could say that you're in love, but it could be based on a feeling. But you have to grow to learn to love that person every day when challenges come, when transitions come,
Mhm.
things happen in life, is when that feeling had dissipated a long time ago. Are you still committed to growing into, loving this person?
Yeah, yeah. And when the person posted that question, I was thinking about those arranged marriages. They don't love each other yet.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but it's all about that commitment that they've made, because their family felt that they would be great together, and things like that as well. So, a question we have on the floor from Evelyn is, but what their marriage slash the commitment, but what if the marriage slash the commitment was ill advised? When can they correct this mistake?
Um, if the couple got married based on bad advice, if they
Their
still want to
commitment was
stay
ill
together and
advised.
fight for their marriage, I would still say go to counseling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's what Regina was saying also, because that question was coming from Evelyn as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I feel like Evelyn, like that person, it takes it to a different level when they're married. It's just not like, oh well, we got some bad advice, we're gonna
Yeah,
break this
no.
commitment. Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
two, these are two adults. You gonna have to own up to that commitment you done made with that individual as
Mm-hmm.
well. But Coach Abby, can you just let our viewers know again about the services that you're going to be continuing and starting new in 2022? You hear how that rhymed, Coach Abby?
Yeah. Yeah, so any ladies that are interested in learning how to date with the marriage mindset, please join me over in my Facebook group from Dating to I Do, and I will put that link inside the comment section, and there I will provide updates on my upcoming coaching program where I will be again teaching ladies what it looks like to date from a marriage mindset in order to attract the man that God has for them. And that way too, you will be on my email list as well to continue to follow me.
And you can also have Coach Abby as your relationship coach um without being a part of the group setting, Coach Abby.
Yes, yes, without being a part of, yes. If you're interested in, well,
Individual.
yeah, we could talk about it, but yeah,
Okay.
but right now I'm preferring more of a group setting.
All right. And you
Mm-hmm.
guys, if you're interested in getting on that email list, make sure you DM Coach Abby or myself your email address, and I will definitely send that over to Coach Abby. Make sure you go ahead and click on that link that's right there next to the $, and you will be able to read a lot more about Coach Abby's book. All of these topics that we discuss just throughout the shows were topics that she actually discussed in her book. We just, touched on a few pointers and few things that she discussed in her book, but it's nothing like having that physical copy in your hand, or you can even purchase it on Audible as
Mm-hmm.
well. Are you on Kindle also?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and
Yeah.
Kindle as well.
Yeah, so there's no excuses, people. But go ahead and click on that link and you can learn a lot more about the book as well. Make sure that you continue to share this video. And then also, if you're interested in talking to Coach Abby one-on-one, you can click on that link right there next to that old school telephone, and you can have your one-on-one free discovery session with her as well. We hope that you guys have a great remainder of the night, and we hope that you also have a great new year. We will definitely talk to you all later. And don't forget to join Coach Abby's group as well. We help you again. I hope you have a great remainder of the night. Bye bye.